All right. Good evening, everyone. Are you guys having a good first day at Build so far? Come on. A few more beers will do, right? Are you guys really having a good day so far? That's more like it. But then I was actually surprised. Holy moly, it's 7:05, and so many people are still here. You guys haven't got enough of technology today? Not yet? All right, let me see if I can suffice your craving for it here. So what were you talking about? We're talking about a developer's introduction to big data processing using Azure Databricks. Now, how many of us have played around with Azure Databricks so far? Wow, that's good. I wasn't expecting to see even one hand go up, given that we just went GA last month with this service. So let's just get started over here. Now, to just make sure that I add context from a developer's perspective, I'm going to show you a few slides. Bear with me. I'll get to the demo part really soon. I'm a geek. I love playing with the technology also. All right? Now, the idea is that when you get a lot of data, you want to go ahead and take all of that data into consideration while you're trying to create new experiences for your customers. And that's what even Forrester says. Well, it'll be determined by these new customized experiences whether customers stay with you or they go to your nearest competitor in a very short span of time. Now, today's customers, again, have a very high set of expectations over here. I'm not going to read through each one of them, but then I'm going to go into the last bullet point over there, which says customers expect 38% won't call you if they can't get or if they have to repeat themselves, which means they want something that is custom built specifically for them. And if you can't hit that mark, you're done. And how do you hit that mark? Well, you need data, and you need processing capabilities to make that happen. Again, you will be able to leverage the power of big data to make these customized experiences a reality as well. You can do this for all kinds of apps, be it e-commerce apps, gaming apps, IoT apps, social apps, or even business apps. Something as mundane as that can also be made very intelligent with the power of big data, machine learning, and deep learning over here. Now, I'm just going to take an example of one such retailer and deal through it from an e-commerce app perspective. Now, Wide World Importers, what do? Well, there are a bunch of retail stores, brick-and-mortar stores today. They're trying to expand into the realm of omni-channel retail. Well, they want an online presence, but more importantly, they want a mobile presence. And they want to customize these experiences for their customers so that they can beat the behemoths of retail in making customers come to them. How do they do it? Well, the solution has multiple facets to it. It's not just one simple click or somewhere and potentially a one REST API call somewhere. If you're really dealing with massive amounts of data and you have a real business problem, there is complexity to it. That complexity needs to be translated into something meaningful that the system can understand. And that's the process that Azure Databricks makes simpler for all of us. So what is Azure Databricks? Well, Azure Databricks is the fastest, easiest, and the most collaborative Apache Spark-based analytics platform on Azure. It's a unified analytics platform. So you can do data preparation and munging. You can do machine learning. You can do deep learning, as well as do stream processing or real-time processing of the data, all within the same environment, using the same set of tools and languages over here. Most importantly, Azure Databricks is a first-party service on Azure, which means you don't have to manage anything that's sitting behind it. Microsoft does that for you. You just need to come in, tell us what do you need, how big a cluster, what's the data that you're tapping into, and start writing your business logic on top of it. Now, it integrates seamlessly with other Azure services as well, which is, again, a very important facet. Your data doesn't reside in one particular source or destination in a silo. Your data resides across a plethora of services It could be SQL database. It could be a Cosmos DB. It could be a graph database. It could be some motion pictures that are lying in your blob store. Or it could be media files that you're ingesting from some third-party developers, right? Now, then, once you've been able to analyze that data, you should also be able to portray it back to your business users. And that's what Power BI connectivity with Azure Databricks allows you to do as well. Now, to take you to a little more depth over here, there are 3 cakes to Azure Databricks. Essentially, the first one is the optimized Databricks runtime engine, which is like a very fast, optimized, proprietary Spark engine that powers using multiple thousands of cores and potentially hundreds of machines if needed to power up your analytics on this. Again, it's Spark-based, so it's open source. There is a lot of community help that you can get for it. And it's serverless. It comes with its own built-in REST APIs also for you developer geeks who don't like going into a notebook environment or a data science environment like that. More importantly, once you've created it, it makes it seamless for you to operationalize it with scheduling capabilities, etc. as well. And that's the power that we can tap into. And again, you don't need to do it in isolation as well. We have collaboration features built in, as well as capabilities like Git integration, etc., so that you can stream exclusively into your CI/CD pipelines with the Azure Databricks development that you're doing over here. With that said, let's actually get to the bits and see the tool in action. So let me get here on my machine. And switch over. So, as I said, the first concept to understand with Azure Databricks is its workspace. A workspace is literally a container or a host of all assets that you need for your analytics requirements. These could be your clusters, your jobs, your data, your notebooks, and most importantly, your security around everything that you're doing. So here's my Azure Databricks workspace, and I can see everything lined up over here. Workspace, data, clusters, jobs, as well as configure security from the workspace itself. Now, a very important and a novel concept with Azure Databricks is its notebooks experience. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and open one of my notebooks. I call this my data engineering and data science notebook. Now, what does this do? Well, a notebook is like a playground for all of your analytics needs. You can execute command, visualize results against massive amounts of compute by attaching these notebooks to specific clusters. Now, these clusters are another form of segregation that you can have for multiple tasks. And you can parallelize multiple jobs on a single cluster, or you can spread it across multiple clusters if you have massive workloads that you're processing. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and start executing this over here with a run all, but you could ideally go ahead and execute them cell by cell as well. Now, I talked about collaboration and scheduling capabilities, etc. I'm just going to go ahead and show you some things here. I can add commenting features over here so that now my teammates can see what I'm doing, review my work, and potentially collaborate with me to improve it over here as well. I have GitHub integration for revision history maintenance over here. And I have scheduling capabilities where I can schedule everything that I've written in this notebook to execute against a particular cadence. Now, as my notebook is executing, I want to start exploring my data over here. So what I've done is I've pulled in some data sources. The first one of which is my data from a data warehouse. Again, it's rich historical sales and product data. Why throw that away? That's a treasure. That's my first starting point. So I'm going to pull that in using a native connector, which I'm doing that very easily over here. These native connectors are specifically designed to take advantage of the parallelization capabilities across the data systems over here. So you don't have to wait for it to get bottlenecked via one single machine. Each of these individual nodes talk to their peers in the other data systems. It's the same with SQL Data Warehouse. It's the same with Cosmos DB. It's the same with your Kafka clusters. It's the same with your Hadoop environments as well. All right? Now, To complement this data warehousing data, I'm going to go ahead and pull in some more data, but this time, the data resides in a blob store, and it's completely unstructured, or semi-structured at best. Now, if I was in a traditional system, I couldn't make any sense out of this data. Well, this is something that I'd throw out. I can't make any sense because I can't convert that into a rectangle. But with the powerful Spark engine that supports Azure Databricks behind the scenes, you can parse through all of this data very seamlessly and easily, as I have done over here. All that I've done is just created a data frame out of the file that was existing and displayed that data frame in a structured format. Imagine 70% of your data that you possess today is all going waste because it was in that jumbled format. And now with this engine, you can bring all of that to play to derive deeper insights about your users, behaviors, and customer patterns. Now that I have this data in a structured format, I can combine my structured data from a data warehouse and the unstructured data from the blob store to derive combined insights and better throughputs. And that's exactly what I've done over here. In the notebook, I've executed a query which is as simple as a SQL query against that combined data set and generated a graph visualization of it. Now, this graph is important. I see that my product lifecycle data, which kind of tells me what my users are clicking on over a period of my product sales cycle, and then it tells me that most of my users are discovering my products towards the fag end of the product sales cycle itself, which is essentially during a clearance sale or a heavily discounted offer on it. That's not ideal, right? If I have a product, I need to see the peaks right here and not right at the fag end. This tells me my recommendation engine that I'm using for my e-commerce app is actually not placing the products in the right way in front of the right users. Let's go ahead and take a look at what that recommendation engine is. Mind you, I'm still within the same environment, but now I'm wearing the hat of a data scientist. I can now go ahead and ingest or import machine learning libraries, in this case, a very sophisticated one called LSH, and I'm embedding that as part of my model over here. Now, to show you what results I'm getting from it, I'm just going to pull in the images as well so that you can understand what my users see on the apps and websites. So for this test image of women's sandals, I'm getting a bunch of images as recommendations. And most of these are men's sandals or open toes. Now, this is not ideal, right? If I'm on a web page or an e-commerce site looking for men's sandals, it's OK for me to show these. But if I'm looking for women's sandals and somebody shows me that, well, I'm going to type in another famous e-commerce app's website and start purchasing from there. So how do I optimize it? Well, it's simple. How did I determine it was wrong? By looking at the images. So why can't I ask my model to look at those images and derive features and determine better recommendations? Well, that's exactly what I'm going to do over here. I'm using a deep learning model, and in fact, a deep image featurizer, which essentially breaks down my individual model or images into a multitude of features. Now, these features could be colors, could be length, could be depth, could be any kinds of features that a deep learning model can derive from these images. Now, these features add more context to my machine learning model to improve the recommendations that come through. Mind you, this deep image featurizer, again, is part of a very famous deep learning toolkit called TensorFlow. How many of us have heard about TensorFlow? Wow, look at that. Almost 90% of the crowd here. Now, I'm just adding these features that I have derived from the images into the machine learning model. Again, the same model, more context. Let's see what the recommendations come out to be. Well, here I see I get much better recommendations coming out of my AI-infused machine learning model now. Now, that's the power of infusing AI into your machine learning processes for your apps and websites, etc. Now you'd ask me, how do I go deploy these to my users? This is in a notebook. I'm not going to ask my users to come to your notebook and use these, right? Well, again, very simple. Using a native connector, I can actually just go ahead and leverage the connector over here to connect back to my operational stores like Cosmos DB and deploy all of these recommendations into that. Again, look at this. I'm leveraging a native connector for Cosmos DB that's built custom for the Spark ecosystem and for Azure Databricks as a tool. Now imagine all of this data in Cosmos DB and your users getting to leverage all of that as it comes. Now, the idea is, how do I understand whether my model is right or not? Well, one was, I saw that it was actually executing with the right set of images. The second is, I want to see if my customers are reacting well to it as well or not. For that, as I mentioned, Azure Databricks can allow you to create a real-time feedback loop to understand whether my users are clicking on those new recommendations and whether they are able to ingest that into their carts, etc., or not. And that's exactly what I'm going to go ahead and do over here. Let's just make sure, detach it, and run again. Now, as we look at this, you can see I'm getting data from a Kafka stream. This Kafka stream is following every user on my app and website and trying to determine what did they click on. And that's getting streamed up as a Kafka event into my notebook over here. Now, as I run this over here, you can see that my Databricks notebooks is able to capture that real-time data in near real-time nature over here and is able to start and execute all of these commands seamlessly. Now, my jobs are executing on the cluster as we speak, and you can see the real-time data coming in over here. You can see the dancing graphs, which is essentially a denotation of the events that the Kafka stream is sending across. Now, I've plotted this also against a map over here to show you what does that look like. So I deployed it in Cosmos DB, remember? I just deployed it in one region of Cosmos DB, the US. That's already showing better recommendation and better interaction with customers, as I can observe in this real-time graph. And now, as Cosmos DB's global distribution takes effect, it'll take these recommendations to the other regions as well, and I'll see much better interaction from customers coming from there. But that's not all. I can even go ahead and deploy it back into my data warehouse as it came in. So now, my enriched data is back into my data warehouse, and I can spin up BI reports and dashboards upon that data. Imagine starting from raw data all the way to combining it with structured data, deriving an AI-infused machine learning model, and then processing customer behavior in real time, all in a manner of 5 to 7 minutes. That's the power of Azure Databricks, ladies and gentlemen. And that's what can infuse all the intelligence into your applications going forward as well. Let me quickly switch back to the deck over here and show you the architectures for these environments as well. Yeah. So here are the logical architectures that we were talking about. We ingested data, put it into Blob Store, put Azure Databricks into action, ingested it back into a data warehouse, and then fed it to my BI reports. Now, that's great for my simple batch processing. What about machine learning? Well, that's where machine learning came in as well. And I started processing machine learning models inside of Databricks as well and fed them into Cosmos DB for my apps. What happens for real time? Well, I brought in Kafka to ingest data in real time and throw it all the way into Azure Databricks and then publish them into either my apps or my BI reports as the need be. Well, that's about all I can accomplish in this theater session. I hope you can join us for some more sessions that we have on Azure Databricks over tomorrow and day after. Happy to answer any questions that you may have, but thank you so much for giving me the time. Thank you.